what inspires the development of the Argon X series, and when did the project officially start?
Like so often in life, it was not actually planned for Argon X's. It actually started from much higher up. We have a product, our flagship Krypton 3, which I always felt that it could be better if we could find or develop a better tweeter for it. And of course, it's easier to do a good tweeter when something retails for 25,000 euros a pair. So we did that for the Krypton, liked it a lot, I liked it a lot, people liked it a lot. So of course, but could we bring it to a product that we didn't initially think, because it is very good. My only problem is it's very costly for this price point. Not okay for 7LX, 3LX, but especially for the Argon 3, because that retails in Europe for 3,750 euros. Yes, a lot of money, but very different from 25,000. But that's now it is available there, and I think one of what has been nice is that, of course, Amphion, we never felt that we are a like high-end company, because to me a lot of the high-end products, the only high they have is the price tag. The performance is not often in par with that. So there's just like in luxury goods marketing, a lot of the value goes to full page advertisement and stuff like that. Sometimes you value, I mean, you go to, I don't know, Louis Vuitton store or something, so many, so big store, so few products. But okay, that's a different story. So that is how it happened. And of course, it's been really nice now to talk to people who have purchased that. It's like, hey, this is really, it's true high-end performance for reasonable amount of money.
Okay, thank you. Could you please share the key technical highlights and innovations about this series? And also below the tweeter and the crossover and any else?
Actually, could you get me the tweeter there? So, yes. Best is to show it. So I mean, this is, I mean, even physically, you see it's a very high-end construction. A lot of magnet, etc. So it's physically very solid. Of course, costs some money, but the nice thing about this is that it's also performance-wise very solid and goes very high up, actually, to 50Ks, 50,000 hertz. As you could guess from a construction, very linear and also very low in distortion. And that, of course, in the Amphion's case, where the waveguide kind of amplifies the good and the bad of the tweeter. So I would say that the performance increases and improvements have really kind of multiplied due to the waveguide in quite a clear manner.
So how about the crossover?
Crossover is, of course, we needed to rework it, but the crossover point remains more or less the same. And the reason for that is that even if they don't look like that, they actually, all Amphions work as point sources. And the reason for that is that at the crossover point, 1600 hertz, the length of the sound wave is actually longer than the distance between the center points of the drivers. So your ear cannot localize separate drivers as it could if we crossed at more conventional 2005, 3 kilohertz crossover. But really the driver combination act as one and behave as point sources. Nice thing also about the waveguide, we take, I mean, this is good to see now. I mean, the tweeter is always more shallow. If we take the woofer out, it's thicker. So if we don't take the tweeter back with the help of the waveguide, we would create a time difference between the mid woofer and the tweeter. But now it's its time and face the line from the beginning, from the source.
How to compare the Argon X series and the older series in sound?
Of course, the S's are very, very widely loved. They work very well, but there is still a clear difference in improved performance with the X's. Technically, as I said, the extension very high, very much higher. It's even if we can say, oh, we don't hear that far, but there's a lot, or that high, but there's a lot of still, let's say, harmonic structures that are much lower than that, and it's quite clear to spot this certain openness and spatial qualities in the X's, which are not in the S's. Another thing which is very, very clear is the lack of distortion, and that is an interesting phenomenon, because what happened, of course, when we have this very good tweeter, it was expected that the high frequency response would be better. Also, probably the mid-range would have improved as much. Yes, it did. But the biggest, little bit even a surprise for me also, was that how much the bass improved. Because we have not really done, I mean, of course, yes, the crossover is reworked, but not really so much on the woofer section. It's the same driver, same enclosure, yet at the moment the speed tonality and the definition of the bass, very different level than it was before, which is kind of funny. Of course, if we go back to the time when, for example, Japanese played with the super tweeters, quite often in those cases they say, oh, but the bass improved. And that, in those days, I was a younger audiophile. I didn't know, these old men are crazy. How can the bass improve if they are adding information to the between 20 to 50 kilohertz? They were not crazy. I think it actually does. There is something interesting that happens that a little bit more difficult to explain. The distortion levels, that's easier, because that, of course, affects all we never hear a certain frequency. It's always a combination of all frequencies that we perceive. So there I can understand it, the transient speed and the distortion also affecting the bass performance. But yeah, it's been we got more than we bargained for.
Sounds great. Many of Amphion's home speakers use the bass reflex pops. Yeah, and why the studio monitors and this series use the passive radiator?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the reason behind this design choice?
Yeah, I mean, we can, so that all the people know what we're talking about radiators, maybe we can turn this around. So radiator is basically a woofer without a magnet. And the benefits of this is that we have much more control over what's happening in the box. The reason why we initially developed this for the Pro gear was that they need to know what is the information they are shaping on. Because the problem with the reflex box, a vented box, is that it always has a tail. There's the energy and then the tail, kind of a shadow following that. On the home side, yeah, if you get used to listening to that tail, you can think, oh, it makes things warmer. When you actually hear a passive and then you go back to your reflex box, it's just muddy. And that's what I hear when I can't listen to the reflex box after a certain size anymore, because they do have that character that goes to all the recordings. I mean, the bass doesn't stop. It is this something and then a tail, something and then a tail. And it to me, it eats up all the energy. It eats up all the kind of suspense and fun in the recording. Why in the Argons we have it, the boxes are big enough. Or let's put it this way: on the home side, we still have it today in Argon 0 and Argon 1. Why? Unfortunately, the same reason why everybody else is using them on all their products. It is the cheapest way of making bass response out of the small box. Is it optimal? No. Is it an acceptable compromise in our case in a smaller boxes? Yes, because the problems multiply once you go to something that goes lower. So that's why the Argon X's and Argon S's actually have the radiator that we are using. So who knows what happens in the future regarding all the other products, but that's the situation today.
Thank you very much.
When and what, I don't know, but for sure something is coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.